love Cheerwine. Thanks for coming to watch this video. This is a review, and it's going to turn out to be a real review because I've had the device for a month now. I did not do a review at launch day simply because I felt like I needed some use of the device before I reviewed it. And then I just got lazy and didn't do one. And the more time went on, it was like, why? Well, now here we are at Thanksgiving, coming up on Black Friday, and I don't know, maybe someone will watch this as getting ready to buy a Duo 2. So sit back, get some popcorn. This might be long, I'm sorry. And let's get to it. Okay, this is the review of the Duo 2. Where was I before the Duo 2 existed? Okay, I was using a Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. My SIM card was in this, and this Duo. Most of my stuff was done on the Duo, but I did, of course, phone calls and texting, though I had my text synced over here and I could send out my SMS from here. This was still, I don't want to call it my main daily driver. It was a combination of the two. And now the SIM card is here. It's in the Duo 2. I still carry this because it does have a really nice camera, and there are times when I want to use this camera over this camera. But this is getting less use. I have to force myself to use it just so that I can, I don't know, stay in tune with it. I probably use this more than I use it. Yes, I still use this daily just to, again, stay in tune with it. But let's talk about the Duo 2. And the first thing that I guess you need to hit on, or we need to cover, is hardware. And I'm going to just jump right into the number one hardware problem with this device. It's a fingerprint magnet. And you might not think much of that, but it bothers me. It's very, very bothersome, in fact. So I'm shuffling through my head, what am I going to do about this? I have a skin on this Duo. I skinned it so that it would look like my Surface device that I carry. So they're kind of like a big brother, little brother thing. They're both Surfaces. So that was the reason I selected this color. I selected going with the skin because of how slick the device was. And it's not nearly as slick as this Duo 2. So it gives me a little more grip when I hold it like so. Certainly, if I'm in single screen mode, I still have the screen to deal with, but it did provide a little bit of grip. My issue with skins on Duos is that I hold the device like so, and my finger rubs across the edge here and here, and it tends to push it up some. So I don't know how to address that right now. That's a concern for me as to whether I'll put a skin on this to address the fingerprint issue, which is really bugging the heck out of me. And I really want to wait until the OtterBox case comes out, because that's what I'm going to go with. I have a Surface Pen, so I didn't buy a Slim Pen 2. The charging case, I don't know that it really provides any advantages. So unless I were to go ahead and go with the Slim Pen 2, and right now it's just not in my mix. I will note that although the the Surface Pen can stick to the back, I went ahead and took a pin loop from my Surface 3 that I have that my granddaughter uses when she comes over, and stuck it on to see how that would work before I potentially invest into one. That's worked out great. I don't know how well the red and the black work together. Let's hit the next hardware thing that people like to slam the Duo on, and that's the camera bump. Well, this camera bump is there because we got good hardware here. We have a good camera in here. And people knocking the camera don't know what the heck you're talking about. And I have high-end DSLRs here, nice lenses, I mean, lots of money invested into that kind of stuff. I understand photography rather well. The camera app is our issue. So we have decent hardware here. And I'm not saying we've got hardware that matches the 5-camera system on the Ultra, the S21 Ultra. Heck no. But then neither does iPhone or Google or any of the other hardware out there. So if you want a device that you carry that's got a great camera, that's a good device, and the S22's about to come out. But if you're really worried about photography and getting great pictures, then you know what? You need to carry something else. You need to carry a little mirrorless Sony. That's your ticket right there. But anyway, we'll move on. I will address the camera app later. I want to stay on hardware a minute. One of the concerns about the camera bump was not that it's a bump. We have bumps on everything, but people seem to make a big deal out of this. It doesn't close all the way. Does it bother me? No. Does it bother you when you look at me holding it? That's your problem, not my problem. Because I don't care what you think about it. Well, that device should be closed. It's your own personal feelings about how this is that you should be concerned about. Now, what I do like about it is this is a two-hand device. Even when you fold up the screens and you use one screen, it's still a two-hand device for most people. So if you're considering this device, you need to keep that in mind. Bigger-handed people could use it in one-hand mode, not me. You know, I can scroll in one-hand mode, but that's about it. If I go trying to swipe, which is what I like to do the most, that ain't happening, not effectively. Effectively, I'm gonna hold it in one hand and either write or swipe. If I type, then I use the thumb mode of SwiftKey and I use 2 thumbs, or I voice input. I cannot use this thing one-handed, not me. Don't want to try to learn because I just fear I'll drop the device. But this gives me a little more grip by having my fingers to be able to wrap here. I like it. And guess what? When I put this pin on and I decide to go one screen mode and do some swiping, it's an even bigger gap. Do I care? No. Do I care that you care? No. You shouldn't either. It's how you feel about it. And guess what? I can hold it better. It actually gives me a little more grip. So now I'm even less worried about dropping this device. So there are advantages to it. That aside, some other hardware things would be the battery life. Some people say they can use this device from morning to night. And I don't know, you know, they're getting several hours of screen time, 4 or 5 hours of screen time during that time, and still have battery when they go to bed. Not this guy. No. I can't get that kind of life out of it because I've got way more screen time, I guess. I'm using this device. It is taking the place in some areas of my surface. So that's important. And as if the pandemic had not hit and I was out and about more, oh my gosh, the amount of note taking that I would be using in this device is tremendous. But now we do so much virtually that I don't have to go out and about quite as much. But I'm using the device a lot. I like to keep my devices topped off because you never know what's going to happen to your power and you need a device. So I not only keep this device topped off, I keep my Samsung and the other Duo topped off so that I've got a device that's got battery. If you've ever gone without power for over a week, as I did back when Hurricane Hugo hit us, you know you want to have things like this powered up. Hardware wise, that's pretty much it. There is the notifications here on the edge. I'm not a big fan of it. Doesn't do anything for me. If you like it, great, but I wouldn't buy the device because it's got that. Certainly it doesn't matter and it's not going to hurt me, but I just don't see a benefit currently for that being there. It's just too easy to do this, look and see my notifications and close it. I mean, come on. I get the purpose, but the only thing that has purpose is that you see that it's charging. And you know what? That goes away. It'd be great that it would continue to show you that it's charging and maybe have a color indicating that it's charging. I can maybe see some benefit there other than that green. This is how much battery is there. Seeing the time, now I'll look at my watch. I'll open it up before I'll look here to look at the time. So not a feature that I'm interested in at all. So hardware wise though, this is a beautiful high-end phone. You're gonna really love it when it hits your hands. I don't know that you'll love it after you use it, but you can't help but love the device and feel the premiumness of it when it hits your hands and you look at it. Except for when it starts getting fingerprinted like this one, and then my mind starts going, oh, I'm a little OCD on things, and that bugs me. Okay, that's the hardware. Okay, me and my messy device. I'm going to open it up. Go in here and look at OneNote. I don't have a script, but I do have some notes that I've taken, just some points of what I want to cover. So let me open that up and make certain I hit these as I go through this. Okay, so we did the battery life, we did the hardware. The only other thing I might mention about the hardware is that some people talked about having an outside screen. I think that's a great idea. I might do just a little video on that later, but it doesn't have an outside screen. All right, so mention that camera bump. So that's one of the upgrades of the device. And how did that turn out? Well, surprisingly, it's turned out very well. Pictures are better. I have found that I get better pictures when I use Gcam or OpenCam. But those pictures, like pictures that I take with my Samsung and actually all Samsung devices, and I see from iPhones, they just get so blown up and they're really not realistic. If you're into true color, actually the stock camera does a fantastic job of keeping colors closer to their natural, actual color. But there are issues with the camera app. I've had it crash several times. I don't know how many times, not a dozen, but it's crashed, I don't know, 4 or 5 times in the last month. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it shouldn't crash at all. So that's a little bit of a problem. I don't know when this happened, but I got to doing some comparisons of Gcam pictures, OpenCam, which is another camera app that I use, and the stock camera. And when I got to looking at them and I pulled them into Photoshop, I noticed, whoa, wait a minute, the resolution of this picture it's not the same as the resolution from coming out of Gcam and OpenCam. And sure enough, it wasn't. It was down to 1920 by 1080. And I don't know why. And I went into the settings and I could not find a way to change that. Ultimately, I reset the settings in the camera app and I got full resolution out of the camera app. So the pictures went from looking to a lot better, especially zoomed in. So I don't know if that's an issue some people have out there. I have reported it. I have reported the camera app crashing. There's a few things I've reported, and I'll go over those things. But the camera app, otherwise, it works great. Some of the people I've seen in reviews complain about how you have to hold the camera. So first of all, we should not take pictures like this. The only time you should take a picture like this is if you've got somebody standing in front of you and you want to make certain you get just that person standing, or you're taking a picture of a single tree and you want to get as much of that tree in the shot as possible. But the majority of your pictures, you should be taking them like this, folks. I do. I shoot a lot of pictures with real cameras, not these things that are in these devices that we carry around. That said, they talk about how you have to hold it like this. Now they will bring out the fact that you got the camera app and you've got the Photos app right there with it, and that's kind of cool, but you got to hold it like this, and it's like you're taking pictures with an iPhone, or excuse me, an iPad. No, an iPad would be like this, and it would be much bigger. And we've all seen the soccer moms or someone out and about holding up their big iPad taking video. I don't think anything of it. Hey, that's what the person's got. That's what they want to do. That's their choice. I don't laugh at them. But that aside, and that's not why I'm saying this is okay, I actually like how you hold this device like this. I like this. I didn't know what it was going to be like when I first saw that the camera bumps on the back and you're going to have to open the camera up. But you know what? I like it. And I think if you use it, you'll like it. I don't know why you wouldn't. If you've got this complex that it's like I'm holding up a big tablet or something to, one, it's a lot smaller. Two, you can see you got real camera on the back and not some little bitty small webcam that happens to be thrown on the back of a device. So I'm okay with how we take pictures. Not a problem at all. Again, take them horizontally, not vertically. Make your pictures better. Make them better. Okay, I'm going to move to some of the use of the device. Gestures. Some of you may see me on Reddit. I'm not a bad guy. I'm a direct person. And when somebody says something directly, it's not necessarily a challenge, I ask them, because gestures. People were complaining about gestures. And I don't have problems with gestures. I really have not had problems with gestures. I put out a lot of debunking videos. Craig over at Scary Literal was talking about how he was having problems with pulling down notifications when he did his first day review. So I did I told him I could do 10 and not have 10 in a row and not have a problem. Someone said, well, 10, you need to do more. And so I had my hands were hurting me. I have carpal tunnel. Um, my wrists were hurting me a little bit, and I didn't know that if I could do 100 in a row without me having a problem. When my hands got right, I sat down, I did 100 in a row, put a video up on it. I can execute every gesture without issue. I can get 100% on pull down notifications, on quick, the 2 finger for quick setting. If you don't know about that, I got a video that shows you how to do that, to go right into quick settings versus pulling down notifications and going to expanding the quick settings to get all the quick settings. I can get 100% on the search. I can get 100% on the backs, going back. I can get 100% on pulling up the task list. I can get 100% on the app drawer. And the home gesture, the real home gesture, is a little bit tougher. The real home gestures where your screens return to home. You could be out on the 3rd screen and your screens return to home. It's not swiping an app back out to the task list and showing what might be your home screen. But if it's on the 3rd or 4th screen, it's going to show that screen. And that's the way all Android devices work. But I can sit there and just execute home gestures one after the other. Now, what I have learned, because a home gesture especially, I don't use that gesture in my normal use of the device, but you use your thumb, or you want to use your thumb. And what I found is when I swipe with my thumb doing any gesture, I'm less successful. Now, I don't know why. Maybe sometimes if you can use the tip of your thumb, you might be better. I've seen the theory about there being palm rejection, but my understanding of palm rejection on Android is that you lose all gesture use. So you can't do gestures, which makes sense because many gestures are more than 1 finger. So if you had palm rejection, you wouldn't be able to do the 2-finger swipe as an example. So I don't know why. Is it me? Is there something wrong with the surface of my thumb and it's not sensing it well enough? I almost feel like I'm sliding on the screen, but if I change that movement to my tip of my index finger or tip of any of the fingers, no problem at all. So I can flick the home gesture with my index finger, and I can get fairly consistent with my thumb, but I'm not 100% with my thumb on the home gesture. I can do 100%. Can I? I don't know. If I can do 100% of task list with my thumb, I can do it with my index finger all day long. So gestures has not been a problem for me. And I did ask questions on Reddit of people. I'm trying to find out what people are doing. I honestly want to try to find the root of how you get around it, even if it's something that Microsoft can get around through some firmware, not Android update, but firmware of the device itself. Until that happens, you want to be able to use your device in an effective manner. So my goal is to try to find out what those are. Another thing that people complain about is typing. And this is something I don't understand. I'm not a typer. So I had to force myself to type for a week, almost every time. Now, I reverted sometimes to swiping. I like to swipe if it's my fingers, and I like to use the pen if it's writing. So I had to force myself into typing for a week so that I could see, are there any issues? Anytime something didn't turn out the way that I wanted it, it was on me. Now, as I typed, I did learn some things that the form factor, and it's always the form factor. These devices are not the same going from one device to another, going from an iPhone to an Android, or going from one Android to another Android. Someone did make that comment to me. If I can do it this way on iPhones and other Android devices, I should be able to do it here. And the answer is no. Even when I go from one Android to another, there's going to be something a little bit different. The gesture might be the same, but just the way that you execute it might be just a little bit different. So I had to investigate that to see what are the issues. And I just noticed that I don't have my Yeti plugged in. I hope the audio on this is good. You've got to learn a few little nuances that exist with this device. Notification swipe down. It works just like it does on a Windows phone. You've got 3 swipe down notifications. 2 of them are single finger. Now, if you have 2 single finger swipe down gestures, then there's got to be something different about them if they're going to bring up 2 different things. And with us, it is. One brings down notifications. That's where you pull the notification bar down. So you have to hit the notification bar, which means when you land your finger, you got to put it right on the notification bar, or go just above it and pull down through it. You'll hit it 100% of the time. If you go below it, then you're going to get the search / most recent applications come up. So it's these little nuances that are differences, the form factor, that's going to change your typing and your gestures. I'm okay with it. I just am not seeing these responsive issues that people are complaining about. So that covers those. Okay, so I mentioned the gestures and my thumb, and I have reported that. Next, I hit on typing, but I've got a series of SwiftKey videos, 3 of them so far, to show you how to use SwiftKey and improve your typing. I am next going to go into Gboard because I use both Gboard and SwiftKey. With this device, we can type, we can swipe, we can voice input, and we can handwrite input. And the Gboard keyboard supports handwriting input. So I'll go over that. I just want to mention to you, though, Gboard's not 100%. It's not designed for the device, and there are issues. And one of them is resizing the Gboard. So how Gboard reacts and works is not a fault of the Duo. It's a fault of Google and of how they have implemented Gboard and not supporting dual screen yet. So maybe when they do that behavior will change. But until then, and Gboard's not really good at resizing anyway. So since we have an abnormal form factor, we really should change the size of the keyboard to make its input better. Hopefully they will address those things because it's a nice keyboard, and I know some people like it. And along those lines, some people are putting launchers on there. They're replacing the Microsoft launcher with a third-party launcher. I get the reason for doing it, but they're not compatible. And everyone I've tried has some kind of issue. And who knows what other issue it may generate. And you might want to think that, well, that's a problem with the system. No, it's a problem with the launcher. So I staying away from putting any third-party launchers on my Duo 2. I do have some on my original Duo, and I'm testing them. And as I see that their functionality improves, then I'll put them on the Duo 2. I put my favorite launcher on Duo 2 last night, and no, bad experience. Or my second favorite launcher, I should say. Microsoft launcher is my first favorite on Android. So putting these third-party devices or apps on, you've got to expect that there could potentially be issues. Some apps are going to be just fine, but then some apps may not, especially when you start doing things like spanning screen behavior, launching, etc. So just keep that in mind and report any issues you have back to that particular app developer so they can address them. There is a software kit, a toolkit from Google called Jetpack Window Manager, and they can implement that within their applications to improve that experience. So I mentioned this to the developers. Bugs. You know what? Probably one of the most annoying bugs I had was the feedback did not work. So you go to your system settings, about, and feedback to Microsoft. It would not launch. Then last week, that November update came out, and I don't know why, but it works. So maybe a resetting of the system. I have restarted and powered down and done other things, but it never worked until last Friday. So that was one bug that I had. I have seen twice that the tray and all the desktop icons just disappeared and all gestures stopped working. Now, I could blame that on Microsoft Launcher, the desktop losing the icons and the tray, but the fact that none of the gestures worked, and I've seen this same thing happen on other Android devices in the past. It's not the first time I've ever had basically just your wallpaper appear. I tend to believe that was an Android issue. I've reported it nonetheless because it occurred. And typically Android hiccups when other things are operating at the same time can cause this. So I don't recall how many apps I had open at the time in my task list and if that impacted this particular scenario. But that only happened twice. I have not seen it. I think the last one was a week or so ago. So hopefully I don't see it again, but it has been reported. I report everything that I can, including improvements, back through the feedback hub, and I would suggest that you do the same. I have an issue with OneNote not displaying its badge. I tend to believe that's a OneNote issue and not a Duo issue. The two could be related, may have something to do with Jetpack Window Manager. It doesn't know where to put the badge, so the badge doesn't get put anywhere. I would expect it to at least be on the left-hand screen, but I've not seen it. That's it. My apps work. Everything that I'll need to use and want to use works. I have tested a few things that just to test and like launchers and have seen issues, but I would not expect them to be working, or I would not expect issues there to be blamed on Microsoft, I should say. And it is important to note that Android 11 on the Duo 2 is a fairly stock version of Android. They may turn some things off as far as gestures are concerned, or maybe some settings. I have noticed a few gestures. I tried to go through and find all Android gestures and give them a whirl on the Duo 2, and there are some gestures that aren't implemented. Some gestures I've never used on any other device, but there are many gestures. There's a swipe left, swipe right gesture. There's a number of gestures that I did not see implemented. So otherwise, it's pretty stock Android. So the caveat there is that they do load the Google Android Jetpack Window Manager so that you can do dual screen, have dual screen support. And that's probably leading to some of the issues that some are seeing. I don't know if it's leading to any of the touch issues, but most likely the issues that people see with opening apps and maybe an app being spanned and put to the task list and open back up, and it opens up to single screen versus spanned. Those apps have got to know to be able to do that. You can set in the settings that apps open spanned, but still I think the app probably, once it's opened and it's sent back to the task list, it's got to know each time it comes forward that, hey, I need to check the screens, see if the other screen's available, and if it is, I'm going to put myself on both screens. That's an app function, not a duo function. I can't think of anything else. The device works great. I love it. I did have the SIM card in my Galaxy S21 Ultra. It's now residing in here, as I mentioned, and this is my main use device now. The Samsung sees some use in picture taking and video. Other than that, really, there's no need for it on applications, although, well, that's not true. I have yet to move Authenticator over. And that's another laziness thing, and that's because with one of my authentications, I have to go through a long process with a customer to get that app or get my credentials re-authenticated. So I've kind of held off on that, but I'll probably put Authenticator, move it over here in the next few days. Otherwise, that's the only reason I have to pick that device up, is that I have to pick it up, is that if I'm doing 2FA, the authentications come through Microsoft Authenticator, then they're still sitting on that other device. Okay, I call it a buy. It's could be a little less expensive, that would be good, but I think it's a great device if you want to have a productivity tool that lets you do multiple things at once, see multiple things at once. The displays are great. I mean, moving from this to this is a pleasure. Responsiveness, the display, the look, just everything about it is better. Okay, thanks for watching. If you found it useful, informative, thumbs up. Comments, as always, I like to hear comments, and so far I'm able to respond to all comments, and I do. And I will probably try to do that unless we just get so big that I can't. And share it. And lastly, subscribe. Hopefully I have earned your subscription. Thank you.